Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to 12 Faces of Sober Speaks podcast, episode number 70. I am your host, Kenneth Watson. Today's guest is Charles. Charles has been sober since February 19th of 2020. Charles has some great content. He focuses on sobriety, health, and fitness. Has a lot of amazing, posts, and some of his posts are very funny too. As a matter of fact, because he is able to find videos of people, the do's and don'ts of working out in the gym, and so it's a pleasure to have him on. I know he's from South Carolina. I would say Columbia based off of his posts. And Columbia, I had a little stint, a time in Columbia, South Carolina back in 2009. That is where I did my basic training at. And so I didn't get a chance really to see the city like that, but I did get a chance. So let me see if I can send him an invite. Let me see. Oh, he's not in here. Well, welcome. Before he joins in, like I said, if you guys haven't ordered a copy, I actually, I need to grab it. 12facesofsober.com. Let me do this real quick. Hold on. I don't normally move my phone, but let me grab this real quick. Sorry about that. But 12facesofsober.com, you can get a signed copy of my book that came out a couple years ago, 12 Faces of Sober. I wrote about basically my 12 years of struggling with alcoholism and how I was able to, get off of the deadly poison of that. Like I said, it became a bestseller on Amazon February 22nd of 2022. You could also get merchandise on there as well. You can get the camouflage version of this hoodie, as well as a picture of my face with 12 Faces Sober. I also have stuff for winter. I got beanies. I got baseball caps. I believe some tights for women. So I have a little bit of everything. And for those that don't know, tomorrow, November 15th, I actually celebrate 6 years of being sober, which is by far something I didn't think I was going to be able to do. But I will say that with a sober community, it has definitely been a guiding light as far as the support. So I wanted to say thank you to those who have been along a part of the journey. I think I've been. What's going on, bro? How you doing? Happy Monday.
Happy Monday to you. I'm great. How about you?
I'm doing good, man. Glad to have you on the show. Glad to have you on. You know
Thanks
what I'm saying? As I was saying, like tomorrow I celebrate my 6-year sober anniversary. So this is definitely a good way to kick off the week and, celebrate my sobriety a little bit earlier, having a brother on the show. This like-minded is out here working on recovery. So like I said, welcome to 12 Faces Sober Speaks podcast.
Thank you for having me. And congrats on your 6 years.
Thanks, bro. I appreciate it. Now, where about are you in the country? You in South Carolina?
South Carolina. A little small town called Blythewood. It's like right outside of Columbia.
Okay, that's kind of near, was it near Beaufort?
No. Beaufort is more near the coast, low country. Columbia is like right in the center of the state.
Okay. Yeah, I actually did basic training at Fort Jackson? Yeah, Fort Jackson.
Fort Jackson's Columbia. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's what's up. Now, so let's talk. So when how was it for you growing up? Was alcohol present in the home?
Yes,
what was going on with that?
My family growing up, alcohol is a big part of it. Every event, cookouts. I remember growing up Friday nights, Dad do little fresh fries and uncles come over and everybody's drinking. It's basically where I kind of got my first taste for alcohol, getting sips from my uncles, my dad, and everything. So it's always been around. That's just like
Mm.
family.
Yeah, that sounds exactly how it was for me growing up. Just the memories of my dad and having like little get-togethers, and like you said, on the weekends, and pops would be like, let me go take a little sip off the beer, or
Exactly.
run to the refrigerator, crack open the beer. Of course, you take a sip before you pass it off, but it wasn't enough to really do anything with it.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, that seems to be like a cultural thing, and amongst I would say amongst the black families, and amongst other groups of families too. Now, was there ever a time or a discussion of if anybody in the family say acted out, or they knew that somebody had a problem with drinking? Did they address it like firsthand, or was it something that might have been, talked through, you know, amongst the family, more or less, like in amongst like secrecy or something?
It was more or less talked to like on the side, but nobody ever really addressed it as being like alcoholics. It was more like we just had drunks. I'm sure they were alcoholics, but
Okay.
they were more or less just drunks. And nobody ever like said, okay, you need to just abstain from alcohol. They always said, you need to control your drinking. I don't think I ever heard
Mm,
anybody say, oh, you
okay.
need to stop drinking. It was always control it. And I had some
Mm,
uncles,
yeah.
as they got older, they did stop, they changed their life or whatever. They got into the church and stuff and they stopped. But I'm pretty sure they were probably alcoholics, and if they would have went back to it, it would, it would have been more like a relapse, but they would have just called it, something else. We didn't really
Okay.
have the label
And
of
so, like,
alcohol.
as you said, I'm so. Oh, wait a minute. I think the connection is bad on. I don't know if it's on my end or your end, but so now, so you're seeing this, something on a regular, which is normal. Like I said, family get-togethers and things of that. Like my family, I grew up in San Diego, but my family, they from Mississippi. So, obviously, if we went to functions out there, it would be, the weekend gathering, family reunions, everybody's drinking and stuff like that. Was it ever a time that, when you did you okay? Let me take that back. What was the age where you like it started to pick up and like be a thing where it was like something you drank like on a regular basis? Was this before you turned 21, or did you wait until after you were 21 to really like start indulging in drinking?
It was before I turned 21. I first started like probably getting drunk was like maybe 13, 12 or 13, because I had older sisters who are already like at college age, so they were partying. So I would hang out with them. But then once I got into high school,
Mm,
I was able to get it on my own, get people to buy it for me and
mm,
stuff. And so I started drinking pretty regular then. It came like a weekend thing to hang out and drink. So it was way before
okay.
21.
And and at that point, did like those within your family like notice that you were drinking, or was that like you would come home too late to where the parents or family was already asleep, so they wouldn't even be like known that you had been drinking? 'Cause I know for me, on the like, because I was an athlete, so football Friday nights, basketball Friday nights, I would just pack a weekend bag. And I would come back, I would leave on a Friday, be like, I'm staying at my friend's house, I'm coming back on Sunday. So did your family notice that you were drinking at that point, or was that maybe something that they saw maybe later on in life?
My parents didn't really see it. Now my sisters, of course, they saw it because I was hanging out with them. But for them, it was just, hey, he drink more than the rest of us. But they didn't really look at it as being a problem back then. But my family, I did the same thing you did. I would spend the night at sister's house or somebody's house that was older, and they wouldn't really see it.
Okay. It's excuse me. So now, you're drinking in high school. Do would you consider that your drinking was was a problem in high school, or like once you got out of high school, that's when it kind of things kind of started to develop?
It it developed more once I got out of high school when it became just a almost like an everyday thing then.
Hmm.
Because in high school it was more like I would drink, go out drink for a little courage or whatever, just to boost self esteem and stuff. But once I got on my own or just away from the house, I would drink, a lot more. So it became a problem after high school, really.
Okay. Now, and now you're an adult, and the problem is starting to begin. Did you find yourself like missing work, having, hangovers to where you couldn't get out of bed, things like that? Or, like how was it for you during that, during those days of actually drinking or getting into the heavy drinking?
I did. Looking back at the time, I didn't think about it as being a big deal because I was pretty good about going to work every day. So when I
Mhm.
did take one of those days where I called in, I wouldn't think of it much. But now looking back, the times where I did call in was usually because I've been out the night before, just
Mm,
didn't feel it the next day. So I would
mm,
call out.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it did.
That seems to be the norm, because I know I did the same thing. It was a lot of times where I would be like, I'm gonna turn some money down today. Like I just can't get up. I can't focus. I can't
Yeah.
process the that particular day because of, the mishandling of drinking. And that was excessive for me, even in the military. Because like I said, a lot of times when I was in the military, shoot, I had to be to work at, say, about, I had to get up at 4:30. I
Mm.
wouldn't be going to bed until 1:30 from drinking, if not 2, and still had to roll over and drive sometimes to get to work. So it was, yeah, definitely a challenge. So, like, when do you think that it truly became a problem? Do you think that it was something that you yourself noticed, or those around you noticed, like a completely different change in you, or alcohol related incidents, run-ins with the law, things of that nature?
Um, Most people really started noticing because the incidents with the law,
Mm,
getting DUIs or just going to jail for public drunkenness, disorderly conduct, because it was
mm,
like, and what made it hard for me to stop drinking was because I would only have like those type of issues when I was drinking. I wasn't like I didn't have like the mood changes or people didn't see, all the excessive drinking. They would just, see me having fun or whatever. They didn't know, okay, I went home, be depressed and all that stuff. Then when I get like arrested for something, then they'd be like, okay, hey, maybe he's drinking too much. And so
mm,
that's when people started, saying stuff like, hey, you might want to control your drinking or something. But it
mm.
was mostly the incidents with the law that kind of brought it up to everybody else.
And then, despite the fact that you were having incidents with the law, did it slow you down? Or did, like, what was your thought process? Because I know that, like, because, and I'm not ashamed of it. I was arrested in 2008, 2010, uh, no, 2011, yeah, 2010, 2011. And despite the fact of those run-ins with the police, if not more, it still did not stop me from drinking. So how was that for you? Like, was there something in your mind like, okay, yeah, I'm not really feeling, getting in these incidents? Or were you like others where be like, okay, I'm just gonna keep on going till I really have to stop?
My thing was I was just trying to figure out a way to control it, to keep from me having the run-ins with the law. I wasn't
Mm,
even thinking about like, okay, maybe I need to stop drinking. I was just thinking, okay, I need to be a smarter drinker. I need to make sure I got everything in place before I go out and make sure I do, once Uber came along, Uber and all that stuff, or just get a designated driver. I was trying to do that. But
mm.
once I started drinking, all that stuff go out the window.
Right. Yeah, you're not thinking.
I would take a Uber and go out, then come back home with the Uber and go out again in my car. So what
Oh
kind of sense
no.
that make?
Right, right. Yeah, that's you definitely playing with fire.
Yeah.
So so what would you consider was like your rock bottom? What was it to where it was like, okay, I mean, did your family have like an intervention? I know my family did it, not this last time that I got sober, but they did it for me back in 2008, with like maybe a couple weeks after I got out of jail. And yeah, so what was that for you?
Um, Mine was a little. It was different. I didn't have any incidents at that particular time. I had some cases where it was like maybe close calls, but not arrested or anything. But it was just I woke up this one morning and I had been like drinking the night before. Woke up, first thing I was doing was like drinking again, and I just like looked in the mirror and it was like I didn't recognize myself. I just looked, my face looked crazy, and I just felt, I felt horrible. I felt like I wasn't living. It was just like I was just going through a cycle. Like
Mm,
just I'll go to work, and then as soon as I get off from work, I'm buying beer, getting a bunch of beer, and I'll drink all night, wake up in the morning, and start over again. It was just like I was just
mm,
existing,
mm,
and I knew soon that I would have an incident the way I was going. I
mm.
knew it was going to be a DUI or something, no an accident or anything. So it was just kind of like I don't know. I just foresaw something coming, and
Okay.
I stopped
And
drinking that day.
oh wow, that's so you didn't have to go the route of going to any treatment.
Oh, I
Uh,
did. I went to treatment.
oh, you did? Okay.
I told my because I was kind of afraid because I was still drinking that particular day.
Hmm.
That was like the day before my sobriety day. I was like drinking that day, and I just went ahead and put it out there. I texted one of my sisters, told her I was thinking about getting treatment. I told my mom, and so they was like, "Well, we're gonna let's find somewhere to go because you need to detox because it's not safe. Even though you say you don't drink every day, but just going cold turkey. So I did. I went to a detox, stayed there for 7 days.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. I mean, at least you communicated with your family about it. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? A lot of times, some people aren't really around family, and even with that, because when I got sober, I'm not gonna lie to you, November 14th of 2016, me and my nephew went out and we drank. I said, hey, it's gonna be my last day,
yeah.
you know. I think I drank probably till about 2:30, 3 o'clock, and then I had to be up about an hour north of where I live now. And they accepted me despite the fact that they knew I was intoxicated.
Oh
You know
wow,
what I'm
that's great.
saying? Yeah. And I haven't looked back since. I
I
haven't
feel
looked
you.
back since. So now, one thing that I wanted to ask you during the time. Okay, so how many years would you say that you were heavy into drinking?
Oh, heavy. Let's say I would go back heavy. I would say at least 20 years, like heavy, because I'm
Mm,
45 now, and I got really, really heavy, like in my probably my mid 20s.
mhm.
That's when I was really going hard, drinking like a lot.
And during that time, did you develop any type of health issues?
I did. Big one was like blood pressure. My blood pressure would always be high, and the doctor be like, "Chill," because I never, never say how much I was drinking, and so the doctor be like, "Can't, couldn't really put a finger on why my blood pressure. I was eating good, but I was drinking so much. And it was like as soon as I stopped drinking, my blood pressure like within maybe a month or so it went down. But
Yeah.
I have issues with like I had problems with depression, and that was one that totally went away after drinking. Anxiety, I would have issues with anxiety, and all that was pretty much was alcohol. I would
Mm,
say oh I was depressed or all that, but it was caused by the alcohol.
okay. And then so you get sober, and so okay, how was it like those, you know, once you got out of that detox? Like what was the plan that you had in mind? Did you like seek on to AA, get a sponsor, or get into a church or anything? What was the, I guess you can say, even though you did look in the mirror and say, okay, yeah, I'm not liking the way I look, but what kept you going? Okay, you're out the detox, but now you still got to find a plan of action to keep you on that on a new path, basically.
Gotcha. right after the detox, the hospital I was at, they they had an IOP
Okay.
course right afterwards. So I did that for 2 months, and as soon as you go into the IOP here, they make you go to AA. You have to do
Okay.
your check-ins, and so I went to AA, and AA was a big part of it because
Okay.
it was just it allowed me to address my issues of why I was drinking, because it was more of my personality. I think just me drinking to feel a certain way. It wasn't like an escape or anything. It was just I always drank because I was like I'm still a shy person now. You probably can tell in my voice, but I would always drink just to go do things.
Okay.
And I just had to learn my triggers, and a lot of that was in AA. Just getting up, getting used to talking in front of people, doing things
Okay.
that I wouldn't normally do.
Okay. And see that, like, I like to hear that. You know what I'm saying? Is that, it kind of, you know, alcohol, at least you thought alcohol brought that out in you. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? And, having more of a personality. Because I'm kind of a shy, what, I guess you could say I was, yeah, I'm, somewhat of a shy person, but then it was like you said, once the alcohol came, it was like a whole, a whole nother personality type
yeah.
deal came out. Now, like, would you say, like going forward after, you did the plan, the IOP for 2 months, and you picked up some, things you could put in your toolbox. How has those things for you to address your issues, how is that keeping you sober today?
Oh, a big part of it that I got from AA was and we learned about it in IOP too, but was the aspect of just helping others. I think that's like the biggest thing as far as like staying sober is just putting the message out there and teaching others about it. I
Hmm.
think that's like the biggest reminder. It kind of gives yourself accountability too with it, because when you're trying to help others be sober, it's gonna it's gonna reflect on yourself too. And I think that's been like the biggest tool. Just it's like living it, not just saying I'm staying for alcohol. It's actually just being a part of my everything. Everything I do is related to helping people and preaching the sobriety.
Okay. Now, did you incorporate the gym as a routine once you got sober?
It became a routine once I got sober. I had always like went to the gym off and on,
Hmm.
but it would never stick because just like I say, I miss work. I couldn't go to the gym consistently when I was drinking either because, of course, if you tired when you can't go to work, you ain't trying to go to the gym either. So I would
Hmm.
never stick to it. I would maybe go for the gym about a month and then just drinking too much to like even go, every day like I do now. And it's like another tool in the toolbox too because it's just something else that keep me focused.
Okay, that's what's up. Now, I took this. This is off of your page, but it stood out. Why do you think it's impossible to reach your fitness goals before getting sober?
Ooh, it's because it's like if you can't like be willing to give up something to like gain something that's more important, it's like I don't think you're gonna reach your goal because alcohol is I mean it does so much damage to your body as far as like as a man, just testosterone levels low, your energy gonna be low, and there's no way I don't think. And I was so crazy when I was drinking, I would be like I would go to the gym and leave the gym and go buy beer right afterwards. So it was no way I would do it. I even ran a 5K one time, and right after
Mm.
I ran it, they were selling beer at the stadium, and I bought a beer right after running 3 miles. So it was no way for me personally. It's somebody who can drink moderately. Yes, they can maybe reach goals, but not me, being an
Mm.
alcoholic.
Yeah, you kind of you just gave me a flashback because I was stationed at Fort Bragg early in my career, and a buddy of mine from college, he was working on Fort Bragg at the time. So, I'd be like, all right, man, whenever you get off work, let's go to the gym. So just like you said, I would go to the gym, get in at least in my mind, thinking like, okay, I'm getting a good workout, burning calories or whatever. And then as soon as I get off work, I mean, get finished working out, straight to the liquor store. And so
Yeah,
all that hard work and I just put in just got lost
figure it
because
out.
now I'm putting it right back in my body. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So let me see. Besides the gym, what are some activities that keep you busy today?
Oh, like I said, Jim, doing my social media stuff that keeps me busy. I've really kind of taken like a lot of joy in just like coming up with new posts, doing the videos. I spend a lot of time on that. People are like, you're always on your phone. I was like, no, I'm actually, I'm making stuff on here too. I'm not just
Hmm.
taking in content, but I'm actually, creating. That keeps me busy. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
I'll do that. I don't
Good.
hardly watch TV anymore, but I'll be on there editing videos, just coming up with different stuff to do. That's a big thing. And I still do my karaoke. I like to go out and sing. Matter of fact, I'm gonna probably go this evening and go sing a little bit. So that's another big thing I do too.
Okay. Now, this is a tough one, but I ask it whenever I have people on here that look like me.
Mhm.
How can we as black men continue to spread the message of sobriety to these youngsters out here? I know that because I'm only a couple years younger than you. I'm 43.
Yeah.
We grew up in the well, basically we were born into hip hop. You know what I'm saying? And the music that came with it, the references to this and the references to that. And now we're like the OGs in the game. And now we're making the change and we're trying to be advocates for the sober community. But how do you think we can truly reach them? Because we need to, just as much as we support whatever they're doing, we need to reach them and they need to hear us having a conversation like this.
For me, I try to tell them it's no shame in not doing what everyone else is doing. I mean, I love to tell my kids, I'm like, a lot of the people, the coolest people I went to school with, they are not necessarily the most successful ones you'll see later on. A lot of the kids that are like the people who grew up to be adults and really successful, they were the ones who was hanging out, doing the drugs or drinking. So I say it's I try to show them, as me being, older, and I can tell them, I say, hey, a lot of the cool people that went to school with me, they not necessarily cool now. They're the ones that are struggling, like me, got to, is dealing with, recovery and everything. So I just let them know there's no shame in it. It feels like, oh, that's everything right now, but when you get older, those things are not, not as important.
Hmm. Especially, when it comes to health. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Yeah, the young body, like you said, I remember partying down to San Diego, going down to Tijuana, Mexico, party all night, come home 4 o'clock in the morning, and can wake up and go out the following weekend and do it all. I mean, the following night to do it all over again. There's no way my body would be able to withstand that type of abuse. And so that's why for me is that I try my best to like let people know, like, if you want to abuse alcohol, these are some of the health effects. Hey, I was in the hospital. I had issues with my pancreas for 9 days, almost died
Yeah.
behind it. And so, and as you mentioned, I had issues with my blood pressure, and the effects of what blood pressure can do to you if you continue, what I'm saying? So there needs to be a louder horn out there to ring the bell and let people know that like alcohol is definitely it's taking its toll
It
on
is.
us more than we'll probably ever imagine, just because of the fact that it does taste good and it gets you out of your comfort zone and it makes you be a different person. It's going to be some effects on your body later on in life.
It will.
Mhm. And
Exactly.
and so like how do you, I mean, it seems like you handle your emotions and everything like that. But how do you cope today with life than you would if you were drinking? In terms of like, you know, if you wanted to be outgoing or I'll take that back. You said you were having kind of like mental health issues, anxiety and things like that. So how do you deal with those real life issues today that maybe you didn't when you were drinking?
Today, well, I first started out with just having a different mindset. A lot of my problems back then was that I wouldn't. I was very negative about just life in general. I didn't. It was like a lack of gratitude. It's like when you're grateful for just every little thing, you're gonna feel different. Like I wake up in the morning, and I thank God for everything I have. Just first waking up, for health, having a place to sleep. And if you come from that mindset when you first wake up, it's like, true, the rest of the day is like a privilege. I get to go to work. It's not I got to go to work. It's I get to go to work. And just adversities. I look at adversities different. When I face something, it's like I can deal with it. I know, that it's something that I can always deal with because I still had through a lot of stressors and stuff afterwards because I had to, get my job back. I had to move back up because I had a job for 13 years that I got fired from.
Mm,
But they rehired me, but it was like basically starting over again.
mm,
So that was a big stress, just starting over from the bottom. But it was a mindset. It's just me knowing that, hey, I've been there before. I can get it back, and it's just having a positive attitude. Instead of me thinking I gotta start over again, I'm like, no, I get a chance to start over again because many people don't get that
yeah,
opportunity.
that's
So
that's big, big facts on that one.
yeah, so it's mainly of me just working from within and dealing with it. And I take a lot of my stress out going to the gym, running. That it's like a form of meditation for me. I put my music on and it's just I feel good while I'm doing it.
Mm. And then for when you're around those who may have knew you when you were drinking, how is that conversation like today? If they, if you show up to a function and they know, okay, well, yeah, we knew, you used to get down, get it in, and now you're no longer doing it. So how are those conversations and how are you received now that you no longer drink?
Um, I'm received well when I do show up, because most people, like I say, they know, and they'll tell me, they're proud of me, glad that that I did take it upon myself to to change my life. But I do notice you don't get invited to much stuff because people are still, I think they're still nervous, that
Mhm,
it might be a trigger for me. But
mhm.
but people don't really talk to you. I guess I don't know. They don't ask about it so much.
Okay.
So usually it's something that I'll be like, no, it's not a problem. I understand. Y'all do y'all thing. I know how
Hmm.
to remove myself if I feel uncomfortable.
Right, right. And so, and along those lines, because you mentioned something that was key is that, sometimes people they don't invite you to some of the functions. Because I was like that too, and it's nothing to take away from my family. Like we usually have a big Fourth of July celebration at my sister's house up here, and I know usually, of course, I would be involved and indulging in the drinking and stuff. And so for me, it wasn't like that anymore because I wasn't there staying up all night with them drinking. It was like, okay, at a certain time, I'm
Yeah,
out of there. It don't matter how much fun looks like you guys are having. I don't want no parts of it. And
yeah,
so that's why I asked the question because a lot of times, that could be that trigger, because I would tell you, like, I had literally, when I moved back to Minnesota, I've been here now since July 2nd. And like I said, for the July weekend, I'm sitting in my sister's garage. My nephew, he's like, I think 23. His buddies, about five or six of them, standing behind me taking shots. And I was like, okay, this is the sign for me that I'm not going to be at this party too long because
gotcha.
I'm already seeing where this was going,
Hmm.
and that's kind of one of those things where how was it for you, like early in sobriety? Did you face those problems where it was like, okay, it's kind of uncomfortable? I know you mentioned about like, removing yourself. How was it for you at that point?
It was weird because, like I said, I have that type of like, and just when you being around people, that's like the main time when I would want to drink. Just to be more sociable. And so yeah, it felt weird. Just like I'm like, am I being weird by being too quiet? I'm just second guessing everything. As far as myself, and it takes a while to get comfortable. Just being myself. I'm usually a quiet person, and a lot of people who knew me before when I was drinking, they know I was outgoing. I was more outgoing. I talk people to death back then. So
Hmm.
yeah, a lot of times I wouldn't stay late to stuff. I would okay, it's time for me to go. It'd be 11 o'clock. I'm looking at my watch. Okay,
Hmm.
and
Yeah,
and
because
it's
I go ahead.
and it's a lot of stuff that I've realized. Dang, it ain't even. It's not even like I used to think it was fun. I'd be like, oh, these people are aggravating when they be drunk.
Hmm.
And one time I was at a family event, and my grandma was like, she was messing with me because my uncle, he was like drunk or whatever. And she was like, you see what you look like now?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, you're right, because you don't realize,
You
how
was
you
right
are
there.
when
You
you're
was in the
drinking.
thick. You was in the
Yeah,
thick of things. So you know what
yeah,
I'm saying. Compared to like being on the outside, like did I
yeah,
really act like that? Did I? You know what I'm
exactly.
saying? Yeah, I feel
Yeah,
that. I feel that completely. And like I said, even for me, it's like to kind of be the one that's like standoffish. You know, like I said, because you know I have members of my family who drink, and I'm just like, okay, man, like I want to have a conversation with you, but I don't want to have a conversation with you while you're intoxicated. And it
gotcha.
makes me think like, dang, okay, people probably was saying the same thing about me. You know what I'm saying? But
Hmm.
it's you know, but like I said, for me, it's just good to observe and see like, okay, all right, well, yeah, it might be time for me to go. Like sometimes it'd be funny because I used to make fun of my mom. Like my mom be like, "Yep, 9:30 come, I'm going home. It don't matter." And I'm like the same way now. Like certain time, I don't want no parts of it. I don't want to see it. I'm good. At least y'all know I showed up, showed my face, and I'm out
Gotcha.
of here. Now, I usually get two quotes. I pick two quotes from the my guest's social media, and we have a discussion about it or touch on a little bit. You the first one is the older I get, the more I accept the past is the past. And that one stood out a lot to me because I know early in my sobriety, I was fresh. I was, you know, getting ready to apply, or file for divorce. And it was like, all right, I got to deal with being sober, find an attorney, this and this and that. But then I also had to let go of my past. And what I did was in rehab, I literally went through my whole entire phone of all pictures, folders, videos of my ex-wife and was like, there's no way I'm going back to Arizona to be with her, and I need to let this go. And so that one right there stood out. And but you could touch on it as to why you put that one up.
Yeah, that one. I mean, yeah, the past is because that's a lot of time when you hold on to the past, that just it does give you that negative feeling, and I try to keep everything positive, and I know the past is what made me who I am, but as far as like going back down that road and sitting thinking about it too much, no, it's a good reminder because Facebook is number one with reminding you of stuff. They'll, the memories pop up, and I'd be like, oh wow, Sometimes it'd be right on time too. The memories. It'd just be like a good reminder. Okay, yeah, that's what I used to do. But yeah,
The key word is used to, not
yeah,
who I am today.
yeah.
Um, now, and then you mentioned earlier about the sober community. How has it truly been for you, like navigating through it, seeing different content, hearing other people's stories, things of that such? How has it been for you?
It's been cool. Just to see, because everybody has their different like concepts with it. I went through AA, and AA is pretty much it's pretty strict with with how they define sobriety. But I've seen other things, where they have the California sober and different things, and I've learned, I was like, whatever works for each individual, and I know, what works for me, and I know that everything is just a suggestion.
Mm,
But as far as for my sobriety, I got to be teetotally. I can't, I can't
okay.
play around with it.
Oh, shoot. You know what? I skipped over the second quote. Let me get that one.
Oh, okay.
Alcoholism is surrounded by stereotypes. What are some stereotypes that
Ooh,
you've witnessed in alcoholism?
um, well, one was, I don't know if it's a stereotype, but it was people always say, well, I'm not an alcoholic, I'm a drunk.
Mm-hmm.
Alcoholics go to meetings,
Mm-hmm.
and that was like how my family was, as far as like, you're just a drunk, you're not an alcoholic.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they didn't want to be stigmatized with this, with being called an alcoholic. And just a lot of other myths. People think, oh, one beer is not going to hurt you or whatever. Um, well, I don't know why my mind's drawing a blank with it, but yeah, it's so many myths, and people think, okay, that it's a thing of willpower. That's probably a big myth. People think, oh, you can have one if you want to. And I'm like, no, it's not a thing of willpower. It's just, my body is not made the same. If I have one, I'm gonna have 10, I don't have a stop.
Yeah. I'm that way too. That's why I said, nah, I'm good. I don't
Yeah.
nah, I don't want no parts in that. And so why is it important for you to recover out loud?
Um, because I've seen in the past when I did, like I would try to stop before, but
Mm,
I would kind of do it alone and quiet. It was so much more easier for me to go back and relapse because I didn't have that accountability.
mm,
And it's part of doing the work too. I feel like, when you working at it and helping others, I think that's just it's powerful, to stay sober too.
mm,
So, and just helping others, it's like I don't want, other people in the family to do it quietly and be suffering too. And
mm.
since I've been on here, it's like I've had family members reach out to me, they'll send me text message, DM me and be like, hey, I'm thinking about stop drinking too.
Mm.
So
Yeah. And I like to hear that right there is that, you're setting you're setting, you're being open with your sobriety, and then others are taking notice, and then now they're thinking like, okay, maybe I need to make some changes, within my life. And that's, to me, is what it's been too, because I've had friends, I've had family reach out, as well as strangers, and say, hey, or even people from like high school, you know what I'm saying, I
yeah,
haven't talked to in over 25 years, and be like, I like what you're doing. I've been faced with these challenges, and, I'm thinking about doing it, or have actually, started the journey. And that's, to me, is what it's about, is that, to be honest, to be transparent in terms, okay, look, I had this issue, but that issue was no longer a part of my life. But here's what I'm doing. Now that I am without it, I'm loving life. I'm being
yeah,
more active. I'm in, better shape than I may have been when I was, under the influence.
exactly.
Mm. All right. Before we wrap this up, I wanted to say this. Uh, any advice to those out there that are living unhealthy? And what I mean by that is, you know, obviously alcohol puts on that negative weight. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you're drinking a whole lot of beer. I was up to about 245 was probably my heaviest, and now I'm at 185 minus the alcohol. But it took a long road for me to get there.
Yeah,
And so the the reason for me asking you that question is because of your content. You're letting it be known, like, I'm in the gym, I'm getting it in, and you getting it in at an age where it's not, or, you know what I'm saying, you
gotcha.
probably go to the gym and you see more youngsters,
Yeah.
but you still are trying to maintain a healthy life, you know past the fact of, you being sober. So what advice would you give someone?
I would say make small changes. The biggest thing for me, it was like when I got started was to just like I didn't, start going to the gym every day. I just started like eating, like, this or that. I was always choosing, try to choose healthy alternatives. Stayed away from the restaurants. I would just, start cooking my own stuff. And that was like one of the smaller changes that you can just do. And you will notice a big change in your health. Once you start, just eating, just choosing right, healthy options. And then just going to the gym, maybe 30 minutes, 3 times a week starting out and just build upon it. I would tell people not to try to just do everything at one time because it's gonna be overwhelming, but just small steps.
And then, what advice would you give someone that's, as you mentioned, have reached out, saying, making those changes, thinking about getting sober, and also those that are early in sobriety, that are, kind of doubting themselves, or are kind of, in that early stages where it's like, oh, do I want this to be my lifestyle today? Or, for some it's like, okay, this is just a temporary filler for something else later.
I would say just lean on anybody that can. Support system, um, AA. It's a lot of stuff out there, and even with the social media, just watch who you follow. Follow, you see different sobriety groups, because I still pick up so much just from from others people's sobrieties. It's like when you consume it, daily like that, it's a constant reminder, and it keeps you on track. And then just reach out to people, in your community, just family, family that you can feel comfortable with talking to. Tell them how you feel. You'd be surprised with how people will, be accepting of it, and will genuinely try to help you. It's just a lot of times we're just afraid to make that step, and that's why when I decided to get sober, I went ahead and I text my sister and everything, because I didn't want to change my mind that day. I just put it out there so I know that she's going to check back in with me and be like, "Hey, did you find a place to go to?" So I think just reaching out to people, especially when you feel tempted, or you feeling off track.
Definitely, most definitely having a good support system around you, most
Yeah.
definitely. But like I said, Charles, that's pretty much concludes my podcast interview. Unless you got anything else that I left out, did I miss any? Oh, you got any business ventures? I forgot to ask that. I know you into the gym, so I don't know if you got like a little side project. If you out there personal trainer or something like that. You got any business ventures going on since you've been sober? Before you can plug
No,
that
just
too.
no, just working on my social media.
Okay.
If people who are not following me, check me out, follow, see,
Definitely.
just consume the content.
Okay, definitely follow him, because he got some of the best videos in terms of people at the gym, the do's and don'ts of
Yeah.
going to the gym, and some interesting workout routine don'ts, basically. You know what I'm saying? But Charles, man, thank you for coming on. Another great interview. I really do appreciate the fact of you sharing. And the fact that, you're making, you have made these lifestyle changes, for the betterment of yourself, and those that are, those around you, they see a difference in you because you gave up the alcohol. And like I said, man, just continue to stay on your grind, man. You motivate me. I just can't go in the gym, man. I just stay slim. You know what I'm saying? Everybody think
Gotcha.
I'm sick, but I try to do light workouts. I just can't do heavy working out no more. But you definitely motivate me for sure. You know what I'm saying? There's hope for 40-year-olds to have a
Oh, it
six
is.
pack. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So it's definitely inspiring. Like as Charles mentioned, please give him a follow. He has great content. If you're not following me, please follow me on 12 Faces Sober on pretty much all
Yes.
platforms. And like I said, man, I wanted to have a brother on my show as I celebrate my 6-year sober anniversary, and I fulfilled that. So I wanted to really say thank you, Charles, for coming on and blessing the show. And like I
Yeah.
said, man, I'm gonna continue to follow you, continue to keep making great content, and like I said, keep putting out that message of sobriety, because a lot of people are watching for sure.
Thanks for having me. Congratulations again on your 6 years. As a matter of fact, I'll be 1,000 days tomorrow. So
Salute to that,
yeah.
bruh. Congrats, for real. All right, man, you have a good rest of your night, man. Enjoy your karaoke. I'm gonna go
All
ahead
right.
and turn the football game on, but you have
Gotcha.
a good night, bro. And thanks for tuning in. And this is another wonderful episode of 12 Phases Sober Speaks podcast. Y'all be blessed.
All right. Thank you.
All right, bro.